The world will have you thinking that you need to fit into a box, but I'm here to let you know that you aren't meant to be in one. Like, have you ever looked at your journey and just realized like it was leading you to your purpose? If so, let me know, what that looks like for you in the comments, but this is literally why I'm doing this video. Before we get into everything, I think it literally only makes sense to start from my content evolution. So I started creating content in 2016. Shout out to the OG vets, Giz Army, period. Okay, like from the trenches 2016 when I was living in Kansas. But I literally started creating content because I needed a hobby, right? Like, I was getting a divorce from my high school sweetheart. I was at a new duty station by myself, no friends, no family, no none of that. And I legit needed to figure this thing out, but I needed an outlet from the military. So from about 2016 to before I went on my second deployment, I just was trying everything. Like, I looked at, I don't even know how to pronounce her name, Lassetti or Lassetti, Jackie Aina. I don't even know who I was really watching back then, but Alyssa Forever, y'all, when she was popping, yeah, I was watching her, all the girls, and they were in the beauty industry. So I was like, okay, it's about that time for me to get my life, I guess. I wasn't wearing makeup like that. I definitely didn't have a skincare routine or anything. That really helped me get into my beauty bag. And I had just went natural in like 2014, so I had no idea what I was doing with my hair, all the things. So I was really just experimenting. So I was doing a little bit of everything. And my military content was not necessarily embedded in my niche, right? But I did do things like car chronicles and just like conversations in uniform, but not necessarily discussing the military until 2017, when I deployed to Poland and Germany. I didn't have the means to create the beauty content the way I would like, like sitting in front of the vanity, lights, all the things. Like, I literally was living in a tent. So you can look back at my content from then and see that there's some, makeshift beauty content that I created. And then there is content like travel content. We were allowed to travel while we were there. So I decided to make a shift with my content then and start doing travel content. And then when I got back to the States in 2018, I got back into doing like natural hair, and I thought it'd be a great idea to continue to talk about my military experience and still kind of start the transition a little bit into lifestyle, but really incorporating like my military experience. So I got into it a little bit in 2018. I got into it a little bit in 2018, and then in 2019, I started to talk about my transition into going to school for captain's career course, because at that time I got promoted to captain. I came back to Fort Jackson, and I just didn't know. I didn't really have a mentor and things like that. So I was just kind of doing it and winging it a little bit. And I thought, it'd be great to communicate those things because I didn't have it. So I'm like, hopefully this helps somebody. And then I got stationed at Fort Benning, which is now Fort Moore, I think. And I started my new role in HR as an HR officer. And then y'all, shortly thereafter, I went into command. There's a long story behind why I really didn't do a lot of military content while in command, because I basically almost didn't get my job because I was a content creator. If y'all want to hear more about that story, let me know in the comments. But yeah, it was crazy. So I didn't really do a lot of military related content then, but I was still creating some lifestyle stuff and just giving you guys updates and a little bit of beauty content, especially when it came to my natural hair and skincare. But y'all, I got COVID, and I was doing all this in the middle of COVID, got COVID. And then shortly after, like towards the end of 2021, I found out that I was exiting the military, and y'all, the transition really took a toll on me. And so that toll resulted in me not strategically pushing out content in my niche or niche. I don't even know how you say it. So then I got out in 2022, and I literally thought to myself that I can't create military content anymore. Like, I'm no longer serving, I'm no longer active duty. So I literally needed to figure out what content I was going to create without any type of like military influence. And that's what I thought. But then as I got into thinking about rebranding, right? Because I'm thinking, okay, I need to like completely strip away the fact that I'm no longer in the military, and that's not going to be the content that you see anymore. But when I started to go through the process, I realized like there is a market for me, and we're going to get more into that later. But the rebrand helped me to realize like what I value and how I don't have to just completely take the military out of my content altogether. Oh, and I forgot to mention that I did start a new channel back in 2021 called The Life of LATRICE, because for whatever reason I felt like the algorithm and the powers that be social media industry was saying like I had to niche down or niche down or whatever. And so if I'm gonna create lifestyle stuff and vlogs, it needs to be separate than like my beauty content and stuff. So I got caught up in that, made a new channel, but I realized like I just couldn't manage both by myself. I didn't have an editor, I didn't resource any of those things. So I ended up putting everything back on LATRICE. And so I'm in the process of shutting down the second channel, but regardless, we're here now in 2024, and I just realized like there is something to leaning into my experiences and not letting this industry or anyone limit me in what I want to communicate, speak about, create about, and all of the things. And so that's why I'm doing this video. I say all that to say, why the shift? Why the shift in content? If y'all don't know, people are going to shift their content around. I know you all love to see what you love to see at the time, but lives change, interests change, and there's just evolution and epiphanies and experiences and things like that that may cause your favorite creators to take a shift. I don't think that's where we're headed, but you know, I'm a progressive girl, so I like to like transition y'all into things, which is why I'm doing this video, because I want you to know and be a part of this experience and just know the why. What I recognize is that my military experience, my family experience, my journey with learning myself after the military and all the things is extremely valuable. And I did not do enough talking about that during the time that it was occurring. As well as I feel like I've had my like 1 foot in the industry niche box or whatever that the social media world and all the people want to put me in, and then 1 foot in what makes me unique and what I love to do, and you know, all the things. And I did the rebrand thinking like I was really gonna have both feet solid, and then I realized like slowly but surely like I was slipping back into this industry box. And it took me going to the event, the Vain Tea Party event, that I did a vlog on it. Lene invited a lot of different creators and professionals to share in a self-care and healing experience that for the life of me, she did not know when we needed it. And I realized in that moment when I was speaking during the healing session that I am trying to fit into a box that isn't meant for me. Okay, I'm letting these outside influences, the people that I share in my creator journey with, influence me unknowingly to think that I have to do the same things that they're doing. And baby, that's just not what it is. I am different, my experiences are different, and it's high time that I be able to communicate that. And so when I realized that I have exited the military, I'm trying to find my voice again, I'm realizing just that, my voice again. Find my voice again. Mine. not yours, not the one that people want to place on you, not somebody telling you to speak for somebody else, but yours. And that means that I have to communicate and talk about the things that I went through, the things that I think are left unsaid. And the only way I'm going to get comfortable doing that is by talking about it. That is why I have decided to take this redirection. And I say I very loosely because, y'all, I've grown my relationship with God over the past year. And when I tell you, I never knew when people said like, oh, God spoke to me, you know, like, I'm just like, is he speaking to you for real? Like, what, like, you hear him? You know, like, how is he speaking to you? And I'm like, you know what? I know exactly what they're talking about now, because there's no way I would know what they're talking about without actually working on my relationship with God. And I've prayed, I've cried, I prayed some more, I've read the book, I've been in the Bible. And when I say I had a vision of where this content shift, where my brand direction can go and the impact it can make, y'all. Baby steps though, baby steps. But it was only through trusting God and being obedient and following the path that he's setting for me, period. That's what I'm doing. And with that means leaning into this lane that while I see people talking about it, I just don't see enough people really giving people steps to take so that they don't go through the same things that a lot of people who've transitioned out of the military have went through, as well as giving resources, communicating the things that I've learned throughout my process and stuff like that. I just don't think that there's enough of that conversation. Like if you Googled how to transition out of the military successfully, I'm sure like Soldier for Life or some like, actually let's Google it. Let's see what the freaking, what pops up. AI generated comment. To successfully transition out of the military, focus on early planning, well in advance of separation date, translating your military skills to civilian terms. Yeah, all the things that we learn while we're serving, but doesn't really tell us how to do it, or the best resources to get it done, or all the things that we used or our mentors used or people before us used. Like I didn't have a mentor transitioning out of the military, but I successfully made it happen with trials and tribulations, but it happened, you know? So I want to talk about that more. And that is why I believe this shift is happening. And I think that if I look at the results, right? I kind of trialed this out unknowingly on TikTok when I was talking about my medical board retirement, how my VA compensation and retirement compensation work hand in hand, who I used to get a job after the military. I talked about those things on my TikTok. And as you can see, like the views on there is up, been up from way, way up, like thousands up. Like on average before that, I was getting like 300 views a video. And I'm still not like getting all the best, you know, like everything isn't consistent, but those videos are performing. So I'm like, okay, God, what you saying? You know what I'm saying? Like, what are you saying? You feel me? I'm just listening, y'all. Literally just listening, and I just can't be more excited about where this content shift and journey will take us. So you can probably already guess where and what direction my content will go into next, but I want you to be for sure. So here it is. First things first is we're definitely diving back into the military content, but just more strategically and in ways that provide knowledge, provide perspective, insight, and just give you all my full-blown experience that will help many of you or service members, transitioning, first responders, all y'all who are making this real big shift from an institution to back into civilian life. So I will first begin my 2025 content with discussing like my experience, like what I went through as far as medically retiring from the military, how I went about that process, what led to it, all of that, as well as my VA benefits and how they work, and how I leverage those benefits to create the life that I live right now, and just my career transition in general. Because if you didn't know, I went from being an Army officer to going straight into a corporate job. So I have the experience of being an entrepreneur, being a military officer, also serving in the National Guard, and then going into a corporate job right after service. So there's ample amount of information I can provide and give you advice on. So a lot of that will be in my new content, but also not just talking with me about my experiences, but even having guests on my channel that speak about life after, right? Not just life after the military, but life after a major change that has caused you to evolve and elevate and make a shift in your life, right? So we're talking about a transformative experience that I'm excited to get started on. As a side note, I am not what I would consider like the best public speaker or speaker in general. Sometimes I don't finish my sentences, or there's a lot of ums and things like that. So I believe that having a platform where I can speak to you all more like this, kind of reduce the voiceovers, have guests, will help me to build those skills, because I'll be required to do it for one, and just help me practice. So that's another reason why I think it's a great idea to incorporate that into the channel, but that's a side note. But you know, as we go through this, y'all, please go in the comments and let me know what you think of the themes and what you're most excited about, because as you can see, I am ecstatic, okay? Next is self-care and development. If you've been following me on my Instagram at LATRICE, and if you haven't followed me already, what are you doing? If you've been following me on my Instagram, you've seen like every year around my birthday, I definitely hone in on what's important to me. And what I've recognized as a theme is that I need to be very intentional about taking care of myself first. And just taking care of myself, like self-care, pouring into myself, learning more, expanding my mind, stepping outside of what I know and learning things by experiencing, right? So with self-care, I believe like my beauty content will start to be incorporated in that, mainly because I find doing my skincare, journaling, reading, taking baths, going to get massages, experiencing excellent services like massages and things like that, going skating, participating in my hobbies is what I find as pouring into self and taking care of self, as well as just the personal work that I need to actually take deliberate time in doing. Understanding my emotions, my feelings, writing in my journal so I can brain dump when I'm overthinking, going to therapy, reading those self-help books. Like, those are the things I want to share with you all that I have not necessarily done in its full capacity. So that's where the self-care and development will be integrated into my new content. Clearly y'all are loving the hashtag Homie Vibes series that I literally started at the end of last year, period, because your girl has been stagnant since moving into her second home. Y'all, I bought 2 homes off of using the VA loan. So be sure to comment below if you want me to elaborate on how I got 2 homes leveraging the VA loan. That's a sidebar. But anyway, this is my second home that I bought. It's a townhome, and I've moved in here in 2022, and I got started with like doing projects around the house, and over the last 2 years, like I've just gotten kind of stagnant. And I would say the last 2 years, maybe the last like 6 to 9 months, I've gotten kind of stagnant, and I really thought that creating the hashtag Homie Vibe series will, one, be timeless because we'll be transitioning from different homes, I'm sure, as life goes on, as well as things change, and I feel like we'll redo a lot of things. We'll be moving, organizing new stuff. Like, this will always be something that I feel like will be a timeless incorporation in my content regardless. But I think that having the hashtag Homie Vibes series is really going to help me and motivate me to actually do things in my house and not be in that stagnant place that I was for the last like some months. So if you guys have watched the Homie Vibe series, go ahead and let me know what our hashtag is. Okay, I'll tell you. It's hashtag homie homies. So put that in the comments and just let me know that y'all vibing with it. But if you haven't watched it, y'all be sure to go check that out. I've done a few different projects already and we have more to come in year 2025. Next is just lifestyle vlogs. I find that I can be more candid and just, you know, I don't have to do too much scripting and figuring out what talking points I'm going to use and all of that in this type style content than when I'm doing vlogs. You know, it's just me day in the life with your girl, like vibe with me, you know what I'm saying? So I think lifestyle vlogs will be great, and I do intend to do more traveling this year and beyond. So I think that daily, weekly, monthly type vlogs and even behind the scenes of like creating content like this may be included in my lifestyle vlogs. So I definitely don't want to step away from that. It is an experience in itself to live this life that we do. And like I said, leaving that legacy is showing my people and people that care about me what's going on in my day to day and how I make it through some of life's toughest challenges, and when we celebrate all of our great wins and all of the things. So definitely want to make sure we capture that too, as candid and transparent and authentic as we can possibly get it. Y'all, this next one was tough. This next one was tough for me to decide to do, but we're on this healing journey. We are on this self-care and self-love journey. And I know that I'm not alone. I learn every day that I'm not alone in this. Family legacy is the shift I'm taking here. It's a bit of a tough transition for me because y'all don't really know about my family dynamic. I don't really talk about it because the perfectionist in me wants, you know, my family dynamic to be perfect. But what I'm realizing is like, and what I've realized, I knew this, so instead of sharing it, I decided not to, right? My family is not perfect, and I am in the process of breaking generational curses, and that is why self-work and self-development is important to me right now, because when it comes time to have kids, there are some things that I don't want to carry over into my family. There are things right now with my family that I'm navigating, like breaking cycles and just figuring out how to deal with these complex relationships. And that's not just with family, that's with friends too. Like, I don't want to air out nobody's business, but it's literally like how we grew up and how we deal in love and just be with our families and people that raised us. It literally influences our everyday, right? Like, that's why people say you need to be dealing with your childhood trauma and all the things, because we all have it. And I encourage you to dig deeper into it, but you will hear more about my family dynamic. And I hope that we can share in the experience and just become better people for it. But you will learn a lot more about my family dynamic and just how that helps me shape my cultural connections. Those are the major 5 pillars, like military transition content, self-care and development, family legacy, hashtag homie vibes, and lifestyle vlogs. I had to look at my notes. The content is transitioning into, and you'll just see much of that sporadically spread out throughout the months, but we'll definitely have a playlist that incorporates all of those. So whatever content you are most interested in, you can easily find it, and you can turn your notifications on so that you are aware whenever I upload that type content. If you didn't know, YouTube does have a personalized notification tab. So if you're not interested in my self-care or my family legacy content, but you are interested in my military content, you can set that up to where you get notified personally when only those things upload. So be sure to do that. I just want you all to know that my intention is to build a community here. We've already built one. That was my intention from the get-go. I know you see a lot of people talk about building community and engagement, and now it's just like this fluffy feather glitter thing that they throw up on freaking PowerPoints. But I started this, like I told y'all from the beginning. I didn't have a hobby. I didn't have people around. I literally have friends in the screens. Like those of you who've been watching me from and engaging with me from 2016 and beyond. It means a lot to me. And I want to be intentional, even more intentional about what you see from me. So that's why this shift is happening. Relatability, value added, knowledge, information. All of that is what I want you to take away from my channel moving forward. So if you see me kind of shifting again, y'all better course correct me expeditiously, okay? Because I ain't trying to go back. I feel like where we're going is where we're gonna see the most results and the best results. So y'all, this shift is just really leaning into my purpose, sharing my journey and experiences, literally being limitless, setting my own boundaries, and bringing you along with me for the journey. So again, let me know what you want to see based off of the new content, ideas, and themes for my channel that I just mentioned. Put them in the comments. Talk to me. Like, let's get into it in the comments. And if you know anybody, right? If you know anybody who would benefit from seeing what I'm about to start pushing out based off of this video, please share this video with them. Tell them to subscribe. If you haven't already subscribed, please go ahead and do so, as I really think you're going to enjoy your time here and being in fellowship and community with the one and only Giz Army, period, okay? I love you all. I will see you all on my next upload. It is your girl, LATRICE, and remember to always protect your peace.